Right now, one of the world's most critical shipping arteries is essentially in a chokehold. The escalating conflict between the US and Iran has turned a Strait of Hormuz into a high-risk maritime corridor. This bottleneck directly threatens global oil supplies. When crude stops flowing smoothly, the ripple effects tear through the global economy and destroy investor sentiment. Against this deadlock, Donald Trump floated a surprise peace proposal. The mere prospect of de-escalation brought immediate euphoric relief to global markets. But that relief was short-lived. Iran swiftly and publicly rejected the proposal. Tehran dismissed the peace terms as unreasonable, pointing to the active violation of 3 key clauses they consider non-negotiable. That swift rejection means the threat of war remains entirely active, leaving the global economy suspended in a dangerous and volatile crossfire. To see exactly how violently this geopolitical whiplash dictates domestic trends, we only have to look at the Indian markets this past week. The initial hope of peace had an immediate effect. As investors factored in temporary de-escalation, global oil prices began to drop. This line chart tracks the Nifty index. Fueled by that brief global relief, the headline index climbed an incredible 1,800 points from its baseline lows in early April. The momentum was so strong, it briefly pushed the index straight past the historic 24,000 mark. But that peak was priced on a mirage of peace. It exposes exactly how vulnerable our domestic markets are to external, unverified assumptions. When Iran pushed back, reality set in. We saw an immediate regional contagion effect, with Pakistan's KSE 100 index tanking over 3,800 points. This bar chart highlights the impact on India. Doubt crept in. Broader markets retreated by 1% as investors repriced risk. Shifting these scales reveals severe financial stress. The USD-INR exchange rate breached past 95, alongside Indian bond yields hitting 7%. Now all attention turns to the looming Reserve Bank of India policy. The inflation concerns driven by these oil shocks simply refuse to die down. The markets are trapped. They cannot confidently rally or safely retreat until the geopolitical dust in the Middle East finally settles. While investors were hyper-focused on the Middle East, massive structural shifts were happening quietly on the ground in India. An immense democratic exercise is underway. Millions of voters drove high turnout numbers in the single-phase assembly elections across Assam, Kerala, and Puducherry. These are intense, bipolar political contests. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been aggressively campaigning in Bengal, actively targeting the Trinamool Congress. This aggressive push stands in stark contrast to Mamata Banerjee's defensive posture within the state. Once the global shockwaves fade, the results of these local power struggles will define the actual domestic policy environment that the markets have to deal with. Meanwhile, a vital, under-the-radar business story is playing out. Indian IT giants like Infosys and HCL have started filing multiple warn notices in Texas. These filings represent a structural workforce restructuring that moves beyond the industry's traditional hiring and firing cycles. The integration of artificial intelligence is shrinking the demand for traditional tech redeployment. The Nifty's volatility tracks the immediate crisis in the Strait of Hormuz, while the IT sector's shift follows the global trajectory of AI. These external forces define the reality that the local governments currently being elected in Assam and Kerala will eventually have to navigate. In 2026, citizens and investors are navigating a deeply fragmented reality. You cannot understand your local job market or national stability without keeping one eye glued to global geopolitics.